After 18 years of marriage to the love of my life, Marcy, I thought I knew everything about her. But nothing could have prepared me for the bombshell she dropped during what I thought would be a routine discussion about our future. That day, I discovered that not only had she betrayed me, but my entire identity as a father was built on a lie. My name is Ethan Parker, and I'm here to share a story I never thought would be mine. For 18 years, I was married to Marcy, a woman who wasn't just my wife but my best friend. We had what most people would call a dream life: 3 beautiful children, a lovely home, and memories filled with laughter and love. Marcy was the kind of person who could walk into a room and instantly command attention. Her energy was infectious, her charm undeniable. She made life feel lighter, easier, like nothing could ever go wrong. I was a lucky man, or at least that's what I believed. Together we raised our children: Sophia, 17, our eldest, who's smart and ambitious, and our twins, Liam and Lucas, 14, who could make anyone laugh with their playful antics. To the outside world, we were the picture of happiness, a family you'd see in a holiday card or a heartwarming commercial. But life has a way of throwing curveballs, doesn't it? Looking back, I can't help but ask myself, how did I miss the signs? How did I not see what was coming? For years, I thought I was building something unbreakable, something that would stand the test of time, and yet all it took was one conversation to shatter everything. From the outside, our life was flawless. We were the family that hosted neighborhood barbecues, cheered at soccer games, and sat together every Sunday morning for breakfast. Marcy was always the life of the party, and I was more than happy to stand beside her, proud of the family we'd built. But now, when I replay those moments in my mind, I see things differently. I see the subtle shifts in her mood, the quick glances at her phone, the late nights she claimed were work-related back then. I brushed it all aside. After all, who would question a woman as devoted and loving as Marcy appeared to be? Even with my demanding job as an architect, I tried to stay present for my family. I thought we had a strong foundation. But here's the thing about foundations: even the strongest ones can crack if you're not paying attention. The little things, the way she avoided eye contact during certain conversations, or the way she seemed distant after her work trips, now feel glaring. At the time, though, I had no reason to dig deeper. I trusted her completely. That trust was the bedrock of our relationship, and I never thought it could be broken. But trust is a fragile thing, and as I'd come to learn, even the strongest trust can be betrayed. My career as an architect wasn't just a job, it was a dream I had chased since college. I wanted to create spaces that brought families together, that made people feel at home. As the years went by, I became more successful, landing bigger projects and longer hours. I justified it all by telling myself I was doing it for my family, for Marcy, for Sophia, and for the twins. Marcy, too, was ambitious. As an event planner, she thrived in a fast-paced environment, organizing extravagant weddings and high-profile corporate events. Her clients adored her, and her calendar was always packed. At first, I admired her drive. But over time, I started noticing the toll it took on us. We were 2 people on parallel tracks, moving forward but rarely intersecting. I'd come home late from work, exhausted, to find Marcy already asleep or out at a networking event. The little moments we used to share, cooking dinner together, watching TV after the kids went to bed, became less frequent. Marcy occasionally brought up the strain, asking if we could carve out more time for each other. I remember dismissing her concerns, thinking we'll have time later. Things will settle down. But life doesn't wait. Looking back, I can see how my focus on work created a distance between us. It's one of those painful realizations that only comes after it's too late to fix it. When Liam and Lucas were born, it felt like a miracle. Marcy and I had been trying for another child after Sophia, but we faced some difficulties. So when the doctor told us we were having twins, it felt like the universe was rewarding our perseverance. I remember holding them in the hospital, overwhelmed with gratitude and love. As the twins grew older, their personalities began to shine. Liam was the quieter, more introspective one, while Lucas was outgoing and full of energy. They were my pride and joy. But there were always those little comments from friends and family that would linger in the back of my mind. "Wow, they really take after Marcy, don't they?" someone would say. Or they don't look much like you, Ethan, I'd laugh it off, saying they must have inherited traits from Marcy's side of the family. It didn't matter to me, they were my boys. Or at least, that's what I believed. Looking back, I realize how much I trusted in appearances, in the story I had told myself about our family. The idea that something might not be as it seemed? That was unthinkable. But sometimes the truth has a way of creeping up on you, even when you're not ready to face it. It was a calm Thursday evening when Marcy told me we needed to talk. I thought it would be about the usual things, plans for the weekend, the kids' schedules, or something minor about the house. But as she sat across from me, her expression was different, composed, almost too calm. Ethan, I've been thinking. I think we should separate. Her words landed like a punch to my gut. I blinked, trying to process what she had just said. Separate? What are you talking about? I asked, my voice cracking. She leaned forward, her tone soft but unyielding. I'm not happy, Ethan, and I don't think you are either. It's better if we go our separate ways. My mind raced. Sure, things hadn't been perfect, but divorce? That wasn't even on my radar. I asked her what had changed, what had brought her to this decision. Her answers were vague talk of wanting independence, needing space, and wanting to find herself. Then she mentioned child support. She already had a number in mind, laid out as if she'd been planning this for a while. The way she presented it, almost as a business proposal, sent alarm bells ringing in my head. Something wasn't right. I could feel it in the pit of my stomach. Why are you so prepared for this? I asked. Why now? Marcy brushed off my questions, saying it was simply the best thing for everyone. But the way she avoided eye contact and tried to steer the conversation back to financials only deepened my suspicion. Marcy's confidence during that conversation stayed with me, gnawing at the back of my mind. Why was she so certain of her demands? Why was she so insistent on making this process smooth for her? I couldn't let it go. That's when I asked her the question that changed everything. Marcy, are you sure there's nothing else I need to know? Nothing about the boys? She froze. For the first time that night, her calm demeanor cracked. What are you trying to say, Ethan? I think we should do a paternity test, I said. The words felt foreign in my mouth, like I was betraying my own children by even suggesting it. But deep down, I needed to know the truth. Marcy hesitated, and in that hesitation I saw everything I needed to know. She didn't argue. She didn't try to convince me I was wrong. Instead, she nodded slowly, her face unreadable. If that's what you need to feel better, fine. Her reaction wasn't one of innocence. It was resignation. And in that moment, my worst fears started to take shape. I prayed I was wrong, that this was all in my head. But part of me knew there was no turning back. The envelope arrived 2 weeks later. I had been dreading its arrival, hoping that somehow this test would prove my suspicions wrong and put my mind at ease. But as I sat at the kitchen table, the unopened envelope in front of me, I could barely bring myself to breathe. Finally, I tore it open, my hands trembling as I read the words that would shatter my world. Liam and Lucas were not biologically mine. I felt like someone had pulled the floor out from under me. My heart raced, and my vision blurred. All I could hear was the sound of my own breathing, heavy and erratic, as the weight of the truth crashed down on me. These boys, the ones I had loved, raised, and called my own, weren't mine. That evening, I confronted Marcy. She didn't try to deny it. Instead, she sat quietly, her hands folded in her lap, and confessed everything. It was Nathan, she said. Nathan Hayes. We worked together for years, and things just happened. Things just happened, I echoed, my voice rising with disbelief. You lied to me. You let me believe those boys were mine for 14 years, Marcy. Tears welled up in her eyes, but they didn't soften my anger. She tried to justify her actions, saying she hadn't intended for things to go this far, that she thought it would be better if I never knew. Better? For whom? I stormed out of the house that night, unable to face her or my emotions. The betrayal wasn't just about the affair, it was about the lies, the stolen years, and the life I had built on a foundation of deceit. The next day, Marcy and I sat down to talk, though I wasn't sure I could stomach her explanations. She started by apologizing, her voice trembling as she tried to explain her choices. "I never wanted to hurt you, Ethan," she said. "But at the time, I felt invisible in our marriage. You were always working, always preoccupied with your career. And Nathan, he made me feel seen." Her words cut deep, but what hurt more was her attempt to rationalize her betrayal. "I didn't think it mattered," she continued. "You were such a great father to Liam and Lucas. You gave them everything they needed. Biology doesn't change that." "Biology doesn't change that," I repeated, my voice sharp. "You made me live a lie for 14 years, Marcy. You took away my right to choose, my right to know the truth." She shifted the conversation to the divorce, insisting that her financial demands were fair. "You've been their father in every way that matters," she said. "That doesn't change, Ethan. You're still responsible for them." Her words infuriated me. She was asking me to bear the weight of her deception as if it were my duty. Her definition of fairness felt twisted, convenient for her, but devastating for me. As the conversation wore on, I realized that Marcy had crafted a narrative that absolved her of accountability. She saw herself as a victim of circumstance, and in her eyes, her choices were justified. But to me, they were nothing short of betrayal. After Marcy's confession and her warped sense of fairness, I found myself alone in the house we once called home. The kids were with her that weekend, giving me space to process everything. The silence was deafening, and my mind churned with questions I couldn't answer. How had I missed this? The glances, the distance, the subtle shifts in our relationship. How could I have ignored the signs? But beyond the betrayal, there was a deeper wound: the years I'd spent pouring my love into a family that wasn't what I thought it was. I sat on the couch, staring at an old photo album. There we were, Marcy and me, smiling at our wedding. There were pictures of Sophia as a baby, then Liam and Lucas as toddlers. In every photo, I saw myself as a proud husband and father, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. But there was another truth I couldn't ignore. Liam and Lucas were still my boys in every way that mattered. I was the one who had taught them to ride bikes, cheered at their soccer games, and stayed up late helping them with school projects. They weren't just names on a paternity test, they were part of my heart and soul. That realization brought a mix of grief and clarity. I couldn't let Marcy's betrayal define me or my relationship with the kids, but I also knew that forgiving her, if that was even possible, would take time, if it ever happened at all. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of difficult conversations, legal meetings, and quiet moments of introspection. Marcy and I worked out a custody arrangement that would keep the kids' lives as stable as possible. For their sake, I tried to maintain some semblance of civility with her, though every interaction felt like walking on shattered glass. With the help of a counselor, I started to process the betrayal and its impact on my sense of self. It wasn't just about Marcy's infidelity, it was about how I had lost myself in the illusion of a perfect family. For years, I had ignored my own needs and instincts, prioritizing an ideal that didn't exist. Slowly, I began to rebuild. I spent more time with the kids, focusing on our bond rather than the circumstances of their birth. I also started reconnecting with old friends and pursuing hobbies I had long neglected. Each step forward felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. As for Marcy, I couldn't forgive her, not yet, and maybe not ever. But I did let go of the anger enough to focus on what truly mattered: the future. My story wasn't over, and I refused to let this chapter define the rest of my life. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Life has a way of surprising us, sometimes in the most painful ways. But even in the midst of heartbreak, there's room for growth, healing, and new beginnings. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts or stories of resilience in the face of adversity. Don't forget to subscribe for more personal stories and reflections. Until next time, take care and stay strong.